All right, guys. Well, let's get started. Hello, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining the session today. We really want to make it as insightful and as practical as possible. We have quite some ground to cover, so we'll do our best to squeeze all that helpful content in 30 minutes or less. So let's get it started. Today's session is devoted to content marketing, or as the title suggests, from invisible to irresistible, skyrocketing your content to 4 million readers. So before we even jumpstart the session of today, I would like to ask you to join the Slido link. So it should be available in the chat box on Zoom, but I'm gonna exit my slides for just a moment so I could enable the session. So there are just 3 questions, but they would definitely help us understand the sentiment in our virtual room today. So can everyone access? Okay, so first of all, okay, I could tell that people can access it, so that's good. All right, so the first question is, how would you describe content marketing in 1 word? All right, so we have a bunch of words coming in: a story, promotion, valuable, deficient, video, accuracy, information. Okay, any more? Funnel, helpful, accuracy. Clear, useful, communication, advertise, impactful. Okay, while we still keep getting more answers, you could already sense that content marketing is really about providing value and telling a story along the way. Okay, manipulating. All right, so let's get to the second question. So how often do you apply content marketing in your social venture? Daily, a few times a week, once a month, or maybe you don't use content. Okay, all right. All right, daily, a few times a week, once a month, use content marketing. All right, okay. So we have, so most of you guys are actively using content marketing. It seems like you know kind of what it is all about. I see we have quite some people who don't use content marketing at all. So regardless of your current, say, journey in content marketing, so I'm sure you all guys will learn at least something new today. So let's move on to the last question. So what age gap does your target demographic fall into? So I understand that we have ventures that address different problems, but it's also important because we're going to be talking quite a bit about the trends, online trends in general. And so, and the age demographic would definitely play a role here as well. All right, so we have a few answers. All right, so most of you guys work with young people, I could tell. Okay. All right. So while we're still getting the last responses here, so most of us are working with young people, and ourselves, Eric and I, we also run AlphaGamma that purely focus on young professionals. So thanks so much, guys, for for filling in the poll. So let's jump back into the slides. So, so the slides will be available afterwards. So whenever you see this little button here, it means that there is going to be a referencing available. You'll be able to access the reports as well, depending on the type of the stat you will see. And so, yeah, so this is us. Those of you who might not know, like, what Eric and I do. So we run AlphaGamma, which is a business portal for young professionals. And essentially what we do is we create content that covers career and business tips, trends, and opportunities. So this is us. So we're based in Amsterdam, and but let's talk about what content marketing is. So there is this organization called Content Marketing Institute, and it defines content marketing as a strategic marketing approach that focuses on creating and sharing valuable, relevant, consistent content to attract and retain the right target audience. And eventually you do all of this in order to drive actual sales for your venture. So while we understand, and based on all the answers that we got so far, most of you guys are actively practicing content marketing, and you're probably looking for ways how you can improve your content marketing game. So, but before we even address the different tools, strategies, approaches, I think it's important to go through the key trends that we're observing today. So you guys identified that you work with primarily young people, and this demographic today is the largest one on this planet. So about 23% of the population, who are millennials, represent the biggest share of the demographic worldwide. Right now, and you might have already noticed this, that we become easily impatient whenever we get to a website or log into an app and it doesn't immediately log us in, or there is some sort of an error. We easily lose our patience and we demand quality and speed whenever we engage with a product or a service. And there is this common misconception. We actually used to think the same way, that the attention span of today's user equals 8 seconds. Like, how many of you guys have heard of this before? Like, raise your hands, like in the bar, like in Zoom, if you've ever heard of this stat before. Okay, we have quite a few hands here. So, but those of you guys who haven't raised hands, so there is this widely claimed stat that derives from the report produced by Microsoft, that the attention span of online users keeps on constantly reducing. We actually used to think the same way. However, it's not the attention span that's being reduced, but the problem is that we have an infinite number of options to choose from. So, and there are many articles. One of the amazing articles on this topic, we actually shared 2 of them here as well. But the bottom line is, it's not that we cannot focus for too long. Is that we have so many options to pick from, and that if something doesn't fit our needs immediately, we're not going to bother further engaging with it. So as you might have figured out, that we as young ventures were in the same boat with other like medium enterprises and big corporates. And the challenge is how to capture the consumer attention, like the user's attention, or how to get more followers to care about your messaging. And as a result, there are the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So there is, of course, demand for high quality content, but not everyone produces quality content. And as a result, we are in an environment that's pretty noisy. However, high quality is valued more than ever. And this leads us to another question. So while you want to produce content, you have amazing insights to tell the world about, or the amazing product, amazing service that you offer, but why would anyone care? And we believe, and this is the approach that we stick to at AlphaGamma, is that it's really about offering value first. And when you offer that on a consistent basis, you're able to ignite curiosity among prospective followers, buyers, sponsors, clients, and only then, or after individuals saw that you're able to produce value, they'll pay attention to you and become curious about your brand. Now, how to make sure that whenever you do this with your content, how to make sure that it is irresistible. And based on our own experience, we were able to identify these ways to achieve that. So one way is to give away valuable insights, and I mentioned this already a couple of times. But what is it exactly? To illustrate this, say you have you are working on a specific product. There is a reason why you do that. you could talk about the problem that you're trying to resolve, and you could tell the world why there are no solutions like yours out there, and you could back all of this up with the market data, with your own research that you conducted while, for example, talking to prospective buyers or supporters. And then when you package those insights in a content form, your goal would be to make it as visible as possible online. Then that's great to have all those insights, and because when you have something measured, it instantly gives you credibility. However, just the substance is no longer enough, and you probably might have seen many times that sometimes say individuals who have less substance to deliver, and especially we see this with in the social media, that individuals who don't have much substance to offer, but they're being visually appealing, loud, they're out there in the world, so they get more views and more attention than those who actually have the right research, have the amazing product, but all of that gets buried in the gloss of others. So when you present your content, think of the packaging, and making it as visually appealing as possible plays a crucial role. And aside from the visual appeal, you also should take care of the technical aspects, such as search engine optimization, search engine marketing, on-page or SEO, off-page SEO. Then what the experience for your mobile users is whenever they check out your website. So there are many aspects to look at in order to make your content appealing. Then the third way, and we're strong proponents of creating long-form content. Why? Because in long-form content, and what do we mean by long-form content? So these are typically articles that exceed 1,000 symbols. So if you have an article that exceeds this limit, it means that your readers would, well, at least you can expect that your visitors would stay on your website for a longer period of time. And when they stay for a longer period of time, you can really educate your reader about the problem you're trying to address, about the service that you're offering or a product that you're selling. And that's why long-form content, and based also on our experience, we saw that it's an amazing opportunity to educate your potential buyer about well, your own expertise, about the problem you're solving, and about your product. Is basically unattainable to do it in the short form. However, there is this, of course, ongoing debate whether our venture should focus on long form or short form. So, and also ourselves, we were huge proponents of long form, and just this year alone, we started focusing more on short form. So, short form type of content, well, it's exactly the one that's short, and great examples are small video clips in the form of reels on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, where you really just drop one seed, one idea that's short enough and catchy enough to capture the attention of your potential buyers, followers, clients. And then once the curiosity was ignited, then individuals would consume your longer form content. However, don't expect people to buy from the short form content. It just doesn't happen. So and that's why we suggest to do it the other way around. Think of the long form content first, like think of the visual appeal, and then perhaps create short form content pieces that would promote the long form piece. Then the fourth way is to work with micro influencers. So they don't have to be necessarily micro. Of course, you can go and work with big names immediately if you have an opportunity to do so. But working with micro influencers allows you to exchange audiences with other smaller players, and this way you're not competing with them, but you're actually sharing each other's channels. And in case with AlphaGamma, we have more than 500 authors contributing content on the platform. And the reason why they do it and why we are interested in doing this, because whenever they produce content and we host it on AlphaGamma, they share that content within their respective networks. And this is exactly how we do the cross promotion within our own networks. And we've seen that this strategy works wonders in different industries, in different contexts. So we're strong proponents that this approach works, and we encourage you guys to try that out as well. Well, and the fifth way, of course, is to be authentic. And what we mean by that is that the content doesn't have to be perfect. So, and chasing perfection, that's actually something that we also kind of, well, struggled with. So we really didn't release the content until it was like perfectly shaped. But by doing so, you actually impede your own progress. You impede your own your own brand awareness, because you shouldn't expect the brands, well, you shouldn't expect that the moment you're gonna share your message out there, the entire world gonna see it the very same second. It just doesn't happen that way. So once you release your content and you already have a story to tell, and you go out there and you tell it, then you have an opportunity over time, based on the feedback you're getting, for instance, from your followers, to improve the message or to focus on other topics. But if you wait for it to be perfect, then it kind of gives away. At least we've noticed that videos that kind of have so-called human errors, or where there are like typos, they actually get to they get more sympathy than those that are perfectly polished, like studio type of recording. And we actually had to even overcome that barrier ourselves. That's why if you have a story to tell, you have an amazing product, just go out there, go to that spotlight, just like this image suggests, and probably don't be shy. So that's this is what means being authentic to us. Now, well, while we were incorporating these new approaches in our own strategy, we actually designed the content marketing principles that help us and help our clients. And we are sure you guys would also benefit from knowing about this process. So we basically put that process in 3 principles. So these are the content creation, content promotion, and content conversion. So I'm going to elaborate on each one of them in a second. So let's start with content creation. So before you even start designing your content, you have to identify your audience. And it's when you have to be as specific as possible. You really basically, if you want to, you can create a CV form in the same way as presented on the slide, but you really need to nail down who your actual listener is, who your actual follower is, who your actual buyer is, and it has to be as specific as possible, because when you're that specific, you can already understand the interests of that person, what kind of content that individual is interested in consuming. Some of you identified in the poll that you don't use content marketing at all. Actually, if you do that, you would be able to learn if you actually need to do content marketing at all. Good for you if you don't need to do this. But for us and for most ventures out there, it's essential to stand out. So, and the first step, before you even start crafting content, learn as much as possible about your audience. And then once you figure that out, you can start working on the content. And the best way to go about this is to see what else is written about this online. Well, and the way how we do it, we actually look at the top 10 results on Google, and then we see how else can we improve what is already written out there, like how much further we can improve the value and our message. So your content has to stand out, and like for real. And then when you're done with the content creation, then comes the second principle, content promotion. So you designed the amazing content. You know who your followers and buyers are. So then the question is how to reach them. So, and as you might guess, there are more channels than just a bunch of social media channels, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So there are like hundreds of them, and so and then you shouldn't follow the herd and just pick the channels that say most of the people know about, because most probably your audience might not be even on those channels. And identifying the right one is actually key to successfully promoting your content. Because if your content is not seen, is not read, then to us, it's just pure waste. And so this leads us to another important, metric is that, and this is immediately what we wanted to warn you about, is that, and by the way, it also kind of links to our perfection point. Don't expect your first content pieces to be the unicorn content pieces. So most probably, once you're going to be working on your content, expect that over, say, a period of time, you might produce, say, roughly speaking, 100 of blog posts. And out of those, say, 100 blog posts, you might get really 5 to 10 really amazing content pieces that get noticed, get the visibility, get the engagement. But most of the content is going to be redundant, not going to be seen, might be perceived as boring, and just deal with that. So the goal of the content marketing exercise is to really get to the unicorn content pieces, the ones that speak in favor of your brand, service, product. And then once you get to that, you should double down on creating that type of content. So there are, of course, more intricacies like this, but they fall outside of our 30-minute presentation today. So, but this is like the key takeaway from the slide that we would like you to take with you. So, and lastly, the third point is the content conversion. So you identified your audience. You created the perfect content that you think your followers will love. You found the channel that really is the right one, and you started getting traffic. So what do you do next? Then, in our opinion, you shouldn't rest on your laurels, and you should continue improving. And what can be measured can be improved, as Michael Dell says, and there are many tools that you should equip. I mean, most probably you guys have heard of Google Analytics, and we actually use that tool most of the time. But of course, there are other ones like Hotjar, Unbound, Crazy Egg, Sumo, like you name it. So there are many others. But the bottom line is, when you're measuring the performance, you should identify really what your KPI is. Is it the actual sale? Is it the number of views? Is it the number of email subscriptions? And then look at, when you're looking at your dashboard, make sure that make sure you understand the path, like where your readers come from and how exactly they engage with your content, like how much time they spend on your website, like how are these individuals returning visitors, where they come from, and how much time they spend eventually interacting with your content pieces. So as a result, once you are able to measure this indirect feedback, as we call it, you should adapt your content. And by adapting, we mean that you should be looking at ways how to make your content fresh. You have to make sure that individuals who come to your website, they always get like new valuable pieces. Your content really addresses their problem, their pain point that they have. And so with as a result, just keeping your content static is it's a losing strategy. We encourage you guys to actually look at ways how to keep your content fresh and evergreen, as it's called. So so that kind of sums up the free content marketing principles that we designed and we implemented at AlphaGamma. But the key ingredients to succeed with content marketing, based on our experience and also on the experience of other marketeers, is quality and consistency. And that once you identified what kind of topics resonate with your audience, you identified the relevant content, you should promote it on a regular basis throughout the right channels. And just to give you like maybe a small, so we have many of case studies available, of course. So, but for the sake of our session today, what we mean by, for instance, conversion. So, so we actually made this update like almost 5 years ago. So we actually were called Business Portal for Millennials. And we thought, like, given how much attention this terminology gets, we thought that it will be easy just to ride the wave with the giants. But when we were pitching AlphaGamma to other individuals, the first question was, "Am I a millennial?" So to us, that just meant that while the media might like shapes the reality that everyone is divided that way, millennials, Gen Z, Generation Alpha, Gen X, Boomers, whatever, it's important to find what makes your followers resonate with you. And that's why we decided, okay, what is it that our followers want to identify with? And we eventually, after doing some market research and also interacting with our own subscribers, we saw that everyone wants to be associated with being a young professional. So we renamed our tagline at the time. So, and how big of a difference did that make? Well, just to give you an example, that before we made that change, we had just a handful of inbound queries, potential advertisers, potential sponsors to work with us. After we made that little change, like 10x almost like within a week or so. So that's why this is what we mean by tweaking, by adapting your content, by revising the message that you bring to your audience and to the rest of the world. And that's why we think that content marketing is an amazing way for you to educate your audience and to eventually generate the following. And we believe that AlphaGamma is a living proof that this approach works. So we have also quite some stats, like in terms of the reach, in terms of the audience, and in terms of the how broad we cover our audience. But to sum up our session for today is with content marketing, in order to succeed with that, you should prepare relevant and valuable content first. Promote and adjust that content over time. And then it's just a matter of time that the conversions will follow. This kind of concludes our session for today. So I really tried to go as quickly as possible. If you guys are interested in learning more about this, we actually created our own content marketing guide, like with the best content marketing practices, where we summed up the strategies that you could actually use in your own venture. So this is how it looks like. So it's so you can see the ideas, you can see the type of content, you can create also some market stats that you could actually use. And yeah, so we would love to hear your feedback, of course, and hopefully you found this session valuable. So any questions, guys? I guess right now we're open for Q&A.